DiEoxidE accent is clearly Chinese. 100%. My is absolute 100% British.
This is a open world action RPG where we're more social now than ever. Why does the clan support and the social interactions suck so bad right now? Personally, I think transmog is the end game. You can't go around looking, really terrible or busted and killing mobs at the same time. Like, you got to look good doing what you're doing.
Okay, wonderful people. We have our guest star today, DiEoxidE. Welcome to the Campfire. I hope you're doing fine. We're really happy to see you, and I'm really happy to see you, and chat is happy. I'm a little bit worrying. How are you?
I am doing all right. Still kind of adjusting to this whole pseudo full-time content creating, because as most people who may know me, I'm also a teacher, and I used to work a second job as well as a server, and so something kind of had to give in order for me to start really getting into doing more content regularly. So yeah, kind of took the dive into more pseudo full-time content creation, still keeping the teaching job though, back in December. So it's been pretty exciting, because it's always scary, right? Because you jump in and you're starting to rely on it as kind of a second income, and then you're just like, oh god, now my analytics matter, now this matters. Whereas before it was just turning on the cam and having fun with friends, and but it's been working out though. It's been working out. Gotten lots of really cool opportunities in the recent, and so really enjoying it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Because it's you can't completely predict it, fully predict it, because it's also can be quite hectic. That's why, yeah, I totally understand. I totally know. Can I ask you? Can you also tell wonderful people, if someone in chat also don't know you, tell a little bit about your experience in gaming? You are guys, DiEoxidE is a professional, ex-professional gamer, professional player in as I understand, yeah, as far as I know, in Warcraft 3. Holy cow, I love you. In what else?
I'm getting put on the spot here. So, but yeah, so I actually did not grow up playing Diablo games at all. I actually didn't even know anything about Diablo until Diablo 3.
Guys, we have a noob here. We have a noob here. Oh my gosh.
However, so I grew up playing mostly RTS games. I played a lot of StarCraft. Actually, my very first RTS game general was actually StarCraft 64. I'm starting to show my age now. But I actually played that with my brother on split screen, and it was, you look at it now and it was horrific, but it was a great way to kind of get into what StarCraft was all about. And shortly afterwards, I just migrated to PC, started playing StarCraft Brood War. When StarCraft 2 came out, I actually went pro and got put up, or I got invited to Team EG, so Evil Geniuses, if you all are aware of that. So I was in Team Evil Geniuses, was sponsored by Razier and all those things for StarCraft 2. And I was a semi-pro actually in Warcraft 3. Never made it to the upper echelon, but I did play in tournaments and things like that. I did match against 4K Grubby and those guys at some point. Obviously I got slaughtered, but it was a great experience nonetheless. But yeah, I actually did do a lot of esports gaming beforehand, and ironically enough, when I backed out of StarCraft 2, being a pro there, realizing that I'm never going to be able to compete with Koreans. My friend was like, hey, D3 is coming out, there's a lot of hype on that, and I'm like, what is D3? I didn't even know what the acronym was at the time. It's like, oh, Diablo 3 it's gonna be so cool. And I was like, okay, well, what is it? Tell me about it. And so he did, and I asked him the first thing, I was like, is it really a competitive game? And he's like, well, no, you just kind of get your character stronger, farm loot, kill thousands of things, and kind of log off. And I'm like, oh, so like Gauntlet Legends, because I remember that I played that. And he's like, yeah, so something like that. And I'm like, sure. So that's kind of how I got into Diablo 3, because I actually wanted to play something that wasn't so ultra competitive. Because when you're in the esports scene, it's not as
stressful.
It's not as, it's not all rosy for the most part. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that people may not understand. I don't know how many people kind of keep up with the esports. But if you ever wondered, where like, I don't know, like a Dota team is doing really well, and then all of a sudden half of the team gets, leaves and contracts with someone else, and you're thinking, well, why did they do that? They were doing so well. Everything seemed to be fine. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that are tough to deal with. And as a player, you're just, you're a player. You have coaches, you got to do exactly what they tell you to do. You're contracted, and if you stay in the team house, they tell you, when to wake up, when you eat lunch, who you fight against, what replays you watch. And it's a job. Like, it literally is a job, and you have to like it enough to want to, do that, over and over for like as a career. And I had a tough time with it in StarCraft 2, which is 1v1. I can only imagine having to deal with 4 other people too, and learn how to work with them and all the stuff on the side. So when I see shakeups like that, it's normal. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense, So, but yeah, I see people have people like Gauntlet. People have played Gauntlet in the past.
So we have. But yeah, this is it's called esport, but this is for real. It's like a real and professional sport. It is intense. It's really, really intense. And I don't know. It's changing your whole life. It's not just your job in terms of 9 to 5. You're just working. You're going home. You are doing absolutely something else. It's completely can consume you. Can absolutely imagine. I started playing Diablo games when I was 15 in Russia. When I had some weird copy. I will not admit how I got this copy of Diablo 2, but it was in English. I couldn't speak English, but it was an amazing game. I had no idea what the hell is going on, but I could run around. I could hit the monsters. I could just destroy absolutely everyone. It was great. And then it was already Diablo 3. Then it was already all the craziness. Learned a bunch of, since started playing Diablo 3, then Diablo 2, even Diablo 2 Resurrected, learned a bunch of English words. Interesting. Like slay demons and all of this.
Yeah, that's important, right? Yeah.
Yeah. DiEoxidE, I know that your favorite character in Diablo 3 is Demon Hunter, and I believe, it's dumb to ask who is your favorite character in Diablo 4, because that's obviously gonna be Rogue. Come on.
Oh yeah, obviously, yes.
How you so you had the beta, you played the beta, you were disappointed in something, or everything was lived up to your expectations on Rogue?
So to be honest, I do think that Rogue is really not flashy. I know that might kind of sound weird to kind of say that, but like, outside of being really, really quick, very nimble, they're not really a flashy class. Like if you're playing something like Source, you see all the spells and like all the visual designs and stuff, and you're just like, oh, cool, that looks super cool. The hybrid looks cool, and the ultimate skill looks cool. And then like you shoot an arrow with the Rogue, and you're just like, this looks very realistic, right? And it's not bad looking. It's just that sometimes you have to. It kind of catches you off guard, especially coming from playing Diablo 3, where the skills for every class is pretty colorful and out there, right? So Rogue felt very realistic, very like, and that kind of took me back a little bit, just because I do kind of like flashiness. Don't get me wrong. However, the way the class plays itself, the way Rogue plays itself, is actually pretty neat and pretty cool. I think they did a really good job of being able to design a hybrid class, because it's basically D3 Demon Hunter kind of, and D2 Assassin kind of in one class, and you can kind of get to choose to go back and forth between the two different styles. And so I was worried about that at first, because I'm like, well, there's no way that you're going to be able to do both. Like hybrids usually don't work in most action RPG games. You either go one or the other. And in this case scenario, you can kind of mix and do either or and be relatively successful with that. And that's a big win
And
on
feels
Blizzard's part
good.
because yeah, it really does. Like I don't feel like I'm restrained to having to do one or the other. But someone asked me in chat that said melee or a range rogue. I'm actually more
Yeah.
interested in playing range rogue. Just simply just because I like to stutter step and dodge things, and I don't like getting hit. That's the one thing. I hate getting
Penetrating
touched.
shot. I don't know. Have you found this weapon for penetrating shot, which was splitting the arrows? It feels so amazing. It feels so good. It's insane. No, at least for me. Like I am not typically. I'm not a demon hunting player. I don't like demon hunting. Diablo 3. Where you are, I don't know how you ended up here. And but Rogue was for me a total surprise in terms of how smooth it feels and how actually good it feels. So my main character and my ultimate love, just because of the fantasy of the character, will be Necromancer, but because of the gameplay, the second favorite will be Rogue. It's just insane. It just feels really, really good with with all of those arrows. And also gonna be, if I will be playing, I will be playing a ranged one. Staying far away, destroying everyone, and being really, really fast.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's also kind of crazy how nimble we are quickly because when you look at some of the previous action RPGs or previous Diablo titles, right? You don't really get to be quick in those early levels. I know, especially playing Diablo 3 with Demon Hunter, it takes a while before you actually can get around the battlefield. Period. I was very surprised even in just the betas how quickly we could get from point A to point B at level 25, right? And that's kind of cool because it doesn't make you feel sluggish, leveling up, and it makes you really truly feel like a rogue because rogue is all about positioning, and being in the right positions at the right time. Whether you're playing, let's say, penetrating shot, you need to position to line up everything. If you're playing barrage, you have a choice. You can either spread out enough to where all your arrows kind of hit individual targets, or you can shotgun them up close. Then you got rapid fire where you kind of want to be at a distance and make sure you're safe because you're bogged down when you shoot. So like every skill about rogue is based on positioning, and so you need to be fast to get to your position, right? Nimble to get to your position you need to. And so they really nailed that. They really nailed that feel of the class, and I'm pretty sure this is going to stay, through in game. What's up, Cube?
How do you think? So when I'm thinking about the rogue, I also think that that's gonna be, no matter what barbarian has the buffs there or whatever, rogue will be the strongest character in PvP, just because of the speed, just because of such mobility that rogue has, no one has. And if the player behind rogue knows what he's doing and he knows how to position himself, which is not me, but if the player actually knows what to position, I think for PvP top one character will be rogue. Would you agree with this?
I think it will definitely determine who's playing behind the rogue. Like if you got someone like Woody playing rogue, then you're kind of
that's
it. Right, you're in trouble. You're not leaving without dropping your ear, right? Like that. But because like again it is a very positional based character, as enemies are moving around, yeah, you're really quickly, but there's also that skill ceiling where you got to make sure that you have to aim, because it may not seem as difficult now, but for sure when things are moving around and every class has some sort of movement skill, it's going to be hard to hit your target. But I think once you do, once rogues get in, it's going to be hard to get them off of you, and that is very, very true. Your best bet will be pretty much to gank them for the most part. You see a rogue by themselves, you get your friend and say, hey, there's a rogue in the corner trying to turn in, you want to team up real quick, and he's like, yeah, let's get him real quick. Like that's going to be your best bet, because with CCs and stuff like that. But I think rogue would be a very good character in PvP for sure. Yeah.
Are you yourself interested in PvP? Competitive player?
It's just so that has been I've been kind of 50-50 on that, because to be honest, I haven't been the most positive about PvP, not in a bad way, but more so of I know that I'm a competitive player, like because of what I used to do in the past, and I know that PvP for D4 is going to be more of a side fun thing to kind of get involved in. Like there are no leaderboards, there are no tournaments, or nothing like that, and you can't really even 1v1 most of the time, according to what they were saying. It's basically it's a free for all. There is no fairness in PvP, right? So I think for me that I'm gonna struggle with taking that like super serious, because it's like, how am I going to, like, because I want a 1v1. Like I don't want no one jumping in on my fights, but
The guards. There should be the guards staying around. Something like they said it though.
So I definitely will PvP for sure. It would be something that I would definitely do for fun. I don't know how much time I would actually spend playing PvP. It's just because, again, I know myself. Like I don't want to get into an ultra competitive vibe where I was before, and because I mean that can get really time consuming and things. But I do think that PvP and the way that they're going about it is, I think they really want you to have fun. They really want you to jump in, do something different other than PvE. Get some cosmetic rewards out of it. So I don't know how seriously I would take it, but I definitely will, be like, all right, I'm tired of doing Helltide. Let me just jump into some PvP real quick, and let's see who's there, see who I can gank real quick, and kind of get out.
See some monsters. You know what I want to ask you? How would you, for you personally, how would you prioritize different aspects of the game, like lore, end game, leveling, PvP, customization? For you, what is, in which order, the most important? What is less important in Diablo 4?
So I've always been about the mechanics. I've always been one to like to, pick apart like the theory craft, how things work, those things. And so for me, Diablo 4 is an entirely new canvas, right? Because it hasn't really been. We try in beta, obviously. We try to pick apart things, but there are just some things we're not going to be able to know and find out until obviously the full game releases. So for me, it's really about the theory craft. I like figuring out how to get my character, as efficient as possible in terms of what works for me as a player. And as someone who likes to play at a distance and doesn't like to get hit, I'm always trying to prioritize, the best way to deal maximum damage and not take damage at the same time. But as someone who doesn't really know too much about Diablo lore, I try to catch up. I really do, because of course I started with D3, so I missed a lot of things that kind of came before that, right?
So sit and listen. Let me tell you.
I would love to know more about the lore, but I won't be the individual that's going to skip the campaign and try to get the world's first 100 or something like that. Like I don't really care about that. I think the campaign, even just watching campaign for Act 1, was really, really cool. I think they did a really good job with that. So like I actually want to see the campaign as it is and actually experience the campaign. So I won't be skipping anything when I play first time through. I think it's really, really cool.
It is.
But yeah, once that's done, theory crafting, picking apart, what does this and why does it act this way? And, are there things that the tooltip doesn't tell you that I might be able to figure out? Or those are kind of more so of my niche things. And then, of course, PvE, probably Nightmare Dungeons, because I think that's where the most challenging content is probably going to end up being at. So yeah.
I can see this. How much do you care about customization? How cool your character? How much do you care about customization? How cool your character should look?
So, personally, I think transmog is the end game. You can't go around looking, really terrible or busted and killing mobs at the same time. Like you got to look good doing what you're doing. I mean, that's just is what it is. And so transmog, if you're not spending at least at some point a couple of hours custom tailoring your color, your like what you're wearing and things like that, like you're not doing it right. You're simply not doing it right. I mean, no one cares if you killed whatever you just killed and you're missing your boots or your pants look all like raggedy. Like no one cares about that. No one cares how, you got to do it with style. So transmogging is definitely the end game. And so being able to really custom tailor how your character looks is really, really, really cool. I think they did a really good job with that, and I'm going to be spending hours upon hours doing that. Make sure I get every detail right before I slay something.
Will you be buying the battle pass?
Oh yeah,
After right now.
absolutely.
We got
Yep.
finally. We were today a lot discussing this in chat. How do you think so far? What they showed in the shop, only cosmetics, only cosmetics. Many times they were saying only cosmetics, and we all are crossing everything that's going to be only cosmetic. But I don't know, like your personal opinion. Would you be okay if eventually they would add in the shop something like respect tokens, something gold, for example? Gold is tradable, and right now, how it looks, anyway, people will highly possible will be buying gold on the third-party websites. And what if, so basically Blizzard will add gold in the actual shop, in the game shop? What would you think about this?
So the game shop is always a tricky thing because there's always this comparison between, what happened with Diablo Immortal and Diablo 4. It's like, oh, well, D4 is going to turn into Diablo Immortal. And like I've had to give my opinion or strong opinion on why I don't see that being the case. And of course, Diablo Immortal is a whole different game. It's an MMO. It's a mobile game targeted for an entirely different audience. So it was meant to, and it's also free to play. So of course they have to monetize in some way because no company is going to give a game for free and spend millions of dollars in development and say, here's a free game. We don't want your money. Have fun, right? It's going to be.
And every 3 months we're going to give you updates, and it's all going to be for free, and you're not going to pay for anything. And we're working here on air.
Right, and so I don't necessarily agree with the monetization practices of Diablo Immortal. Definitely not defending that by any means, but I'm just saying it kind of is what it is when it comes to mobile gaming. Now, D4 obviously is an action RPG. It's a full price game. It's also targeted to a different audience too, and so they're not going to be able to get away with buying power or those things. I do think that so far with the cosmetics and stuff, I think they're going in the right direction when it comes to that. I think the battle pass is just fine, or the paid battle pass stuff is also just fine. There's been some arms in the air about that too, but considering how cheap it is per 3 months or per 3.5 4 months, however long a season's going to be, it's almost like why not at the end of the day? Like this, it's almost like a meal. It's like, well, I spend that much money on like a meal for a day, for something I can enjoy for 3 months. Like that's actually really good value, considering. And not only that, but if it means that we're going to get really cool things every season, because, people are purchasing the battle pass, then I'm down for it, But in terms of like adding things to the shop, such as like respec or gold, I'm actually not necessarily against that because it's not anything that is going to give you more power per se for your particular character. So like, you're not buying power, you're almost just buying chances, where it's like, oh, well, I kind of screwed this up or whatever like that. But instead of farming to respec something, I'm going to, I guess, buy it for this and then redo this. But it won't be one of those things where like I run across somebody and it's like, oh, well, you obviously paid to win. Like there's nothing about that particular purchase that would affect me or even leaderboards or anything that may come in the future per se. So it is kind of a pay for convenience thing. I know like there's probably a split in the audience for that, but for me, it wouldn't bother me as much, with that. But I think if Blizzard actually did do that, it's probably to curb or combat the whole goal selling, right? I think that's kind of the thing that you think too, like the whole goal selling on like D2, JS, P and stuff like that. So, I mean, if people are going to do it anyways, Blizzard might offer a safer route to do it. And if that's the case, I can understand that. I can understand why they would want to do it. But I don't think it would have a huge effect on the game overall.
But it will have a huge effect on the people screaming all over the internet. Pay to win! This will unleash, I don't know, like, even if they will ever decide to do this, I believe not now. I believe it's like in some future, maybe. At some point I will start thinking about this, but at this point, even Battle Pass already caused so many discussions, so many questions about this. So right now it's kind of, they just can't add there anything.
But there's one thing though too as well, is that like generally in game speaking, I mean you're gonna come across, you know, many different avenues to earn gold anyhow. So like it's gonna be one of those things where people are looking at the respec costs and say, oh man, this is costing a lot, right?
Yeah.
But we're gonna, I mean, there is many different avenues of being able to earn gold already in the game. It's just a matter of just kind of playing to, you know, to earn that gold, right? So like I would actually honestly say that blasters, for instance, like if someone who plays the game a lot probably won't struggle with, you know, being, you know, too low on gold. Like you're not going to be gold starved the entire time if you've been playing the game a lot. However, obviously if you're playing a game like maybe, you know, 30 minutes a day or something, different story. But like, you know, I think most of us, especially, you know, those who stream and make content, we're gonna be playing a lot, right? So I don't think we're not gonna really have issues on the gold front in general. At least I don't believe so.
This is, I hope so, but it's a really difficult topic in terms of respects, because it's always causing a lot of issues. Diablo 2 community will scream that the respects should be really limited, and there should be, I don't know, like 3 respects per character, that's it, because your choice should matter. Diablo 3 players, or just overall, there is a lot of people who want free respects and who are really concerned with this price of respects. What would you prefer? Free respects? Like right now we have high price of gold respects, or maybe limited respects, the respects that you need to earn in the game by defeating a really high level monster. Defeated him, you are getting this respect token.
So that's a tough topic too. Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle, because I mean, I did spend you know all my time in D3, and I played very little D2. Don't get upset with me, chat. But I've tried. I did play some D2R and whatnot. But so it's one of those things where I definitely understand character like permanency. Like you pick the route. You know, you kind of need to commit to something. So I understand that. And of course, the other side of things is like, you know, well, you want to experiment, right? You know, you want to experiment, and if things cost too much to experiment or to try to experiment, right, then you're going to have people not wanting to experiment, and instead, you know, just go to videos, YouTube videos, or, you know, websites, Mastro.gg, by the way, just
say it. Yeah.
You know, you guys want to guys.
They're amazing.
Yeah, amazing, absolutely amazing. So people will be steered to, you know, not want to mess things up. And so they will go directly to a source where they can get a pre-made build, so therefore they don't have to worry about messing things up. But that's
so amazing. Giving the content creators the job. Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah. And you know, while that might be great for content creators, right? But I think for the average individual, you know, you want to encourage exploration. You want to encourage, you know, experimenting, right? And so there has to be a fair line between, you know, committing and being able to respect at will. I think D3 was a bit more on the lax side, where you can change anything and go from anything to anything, and you know, you can play one class and have all your paragons and switch to a different class, and you know, just upgrade some gear, and you're automatically playing a new class all of a sudden in like a couple of hours, right? Like there has to be some sort of permanency there, and so I do agree with that. And I think what D4 is trying to do right now is that early game, if you notice, some of the respect costs for whether it's adding aspects or whatnot, they're pretty cheap. Like they're not expensive to remove a skill point from the skill tree early game. So this is the time frame to really be able to experiment and play around with different things. And so as you're playing more hours into the game, you kind of have an idea of what you want to do at that point, and that's when you should start becoming more committal. So I think D4 actually does it pretty well, where it's like, you know, okay, it's not that costly to, you know, experiment
in the beginning
early on,
to start
but,
it.
yeah. Mm-hmm. But as you're getting like, you know, level 50, level 60, level 70, then it's like, okay, you should at this point probably have an idea of what you want to do. And so we're going to make you, or get you to start to commit to whatever it is that you want to do. And I think that's actually that's a good compromise. You kind of get a little bit of both on both sides. So
what's concerning for me in all of this is that we don't have. I miss the wardrobe from Diablo 3 in terms of. I don't like the idea in Diablo 2, for example, you have the same class, multiple characters for different type of content. For Ubers, you have leveled assassin, you have leveled paladin. With this particular gear setup, for different type of content, for farming, you have the same assassin, but with the different items. And this is kind of what seems to be also the case in Diablo 4, because for PvP, you will have one character with this setup. For the different type of content, you will have to level once again your rogue, for example, rogue for PvP and rogue for Nightmare Dungeons. Since I'm not enjoying it in Diablo 2, I don't know. I'm kind of missing my wardrobe button in Diablo 4 now. Would you like to have a wardrobe button?
So, yeah. I personally would rather do that because I'd rather save my character slots for different characters, like playing an actual different class.
By the way, true, only 10 character slots, absolutely.
Yeah, so I would like that. I don't know if they're even if there's any talks about them wanting to do that by any means, but I do looking at it, try to look at it objectively. I do kind of understand the I guess maybe on Blizzard's end, the want to try to extend your playtime. So like if you want to focus on this particular part of the game, then you make a character specifically for that particular part of the game. Like for instance, PvP, because PvP is so different from PvE. So I can kind of understand having a PvP character because it's very different. It's very different from what you do in PvE. But like having a character for Nightmare Dungeons and a character for world bosses or a character for that's a bit much, I think, in my opinion. But I do think having a specific character for PvP might be warranted because the whole gearing is different. Like even how you would go about your Paragon points, probably because of all the different boards, would be vastly different than what it would be in PvE. So you may actually probably wouldn't need to make a whole new character with how vast the Paragon system is for PvP. So, but yeah, I mean, in general, I would love to have a wardrobe swap button. I mean, there's really no reason why it wouldn't. It wouldn't hurt anything, right?
I would be okay, like gold prices, but I really want this, the game calculating for me the full gold price of respec. I look at least couple of millions, and if I need to farm, okay, I will farm. But the opportunity to save your build, that is, in the end, I think that would be really, really cool just to be able to swap with one button. Eventually, farming for gold, I'm ready for respec costs, I'm ready for everything. I just don't like this whole, if you are even changing, it's actually easier to have the second character leveled. But yeah, it's me, lazy person who doesn't want to level the second character of the same type. Do you remember the moment we were playing the beta? Do you remember the moment when something in the game maybe shocked you or surprised you, and you said for yourself, okay, this is a cool game, okay, I will enjoy it?
So what's funny, I in the first beta, or the first weekend beta, I was actually fighting. I was in the dungeon and I was fighting this treasure goblin, and I was so bent on trying to kill the treasure goblin that I didn't even know that the butcher was actually after me. It was the very first time I ever seen a butcher, right, in the beta. And so like I'm sitting there because I mean I didn't have my like sound in the game kind of down because I was having my my music play, and I didn't hear him. Like I just saw this big dude coming at me, swinging at me, and I didn't even like hover over him to see who it was. I was just like, I gotta kill this treasure goblin. Like this treasure goblin got treasure. I gotta get this now. So it's my chat. My chat was looking at me, and they were saying, "The DiEoxidE, it's the butcher. It's the butcher." And I'm just like, where? He's like, the guy who's chopping you. That's the butcher. I'm like, holy crap. But I still killed the treasure goblin. I still went to kill the treasure goblin, regardless of the fact that the butcher was following me. But it was really cool because it's like, it's one of those things where it's something you don't really expect in a regular farming content or even in a dungeon, and just all of a sudden you just pops out and you know, a very, very, you know, strong foe, obviously. And of course, for people who are more Diablo lore related, of course, the butcher has more meaning for me. I think it's cool, don't get me wrong. I just don't have that same feeling when I saw the butcher that most people have.
It's okay, just gigantic dude is jumping on you. It's enough.
Right. But you know, it was really cool to be able to fight something that tough that early, randomly. Like it's just like out of nowhere. Like it kept, you know, the whole dungeon thing kind of fresh. And so from what I hear, what they've actually mentioned before is that, you know, there could be more, you know, enemies like that in terms of dungeon is concerned. So like, you know, butcher, you know, could be one of, you know, many different baddies that you could fight randomly in the dungeon in the future, or something. So I think that's like really cool. That surprised me, and it was good. It was a good surprise. It was a good surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. The first one that I saw, the butcher, I was in a team. We were in a team. We could even defeat this guy. And I knew it because I wasn't lucky, you know. I was the first day of the beta, he was already starting attacking people, but I didn't get it at all. I haven't seen him, and I saw it already on Twitter, so I know that he's coming. I knew that he's coming. And on the second day, we were in a team, and he appeared, and together 4 players. Yeah, we kicked him, but still was
Nice.
amazing. Still amazing, dude.
Oh yeah, it was definitely a strategic moment because of course you had to think on the fly. You weren't preparing for this, right? So it's not like you're going in with your building and you're just like, you know, if I fight this, you know, I got this ready, this is stocked, I got this. You know, it happens randomly, and you could be like down 3 potions already, and you just automatically shows up, and you're just like, holy cow, what do you do? So like, it's a really cool moment in you know, in that spotlight. And I remember it took me a while because this was me leveling up at the time when I fought the butcher. So it took me a while to actually down him, and I was like thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, well, he's gonna hit me because he's faster than me, and he's not really taking too kindly to these crowd controls. So I literally just kind of ran around a lot trying to kill spare monsters to continue to get potions, because like that was my strategy. I'm like, okay, well, as long as I can chug enough potions to live, he will eventually die. Even if it takes me forever, he will eventually die. So as I'm like,
No, he can
you know,
disappear. He can just disappear.
yeah, true. I ended up, you know, luckily killing on the first time, but I would kill other minions along the way to be able to get potions so that I could, you know, try to survive each time. So when I was getting low on potions, I kind of backed up a little bit until I saw another enemy to kill, until they dropped the potion, and I grabbed that potion, you know, chugged it, do a few attacks to keep him following me and stuff like that. So that was really cool because it made me really think on the fly, and I'm like, that is awesome. And the fact that there's, you know, more like that in the game is just, it's crazy.
I hope that there is not only the monsters, no, because with all it was incredibly cool in the beta. It will be incredibly cool also for the new players, for you starting the game. You see the butcher, all fine, but no, at this point, chat is saying also Duriel. I don't know. Have you seen the Duriel in Diablo 2? It's the boss of Act 2. And he has also this effect for all the people who are playing. He is really quick. He's jumping on you from the darkness. That's why, yeah, he will be also really cool for this effect that out of nowhere gigantic bug is jumping on you. But still,
Can I tell a short story about that actually? About Duriel. So I played.
Yes.
So I got into D2R alpha. I don't even know how I did, but you know, for someone who didn't play D2, so I streamed D2R alpha for the first time. And, you know, as if someone who never played a game before, so I'm like, you know, backseeking this walkthrough, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I guess people didn't believe me when I said that. It's like, there's no way you didn't play D2. Everybody's played D2. There's no way you're new at this, right? So, of course, I start the journey off, right? And I die for the very first time. And so I'm back in town, and I go out, and I'm trying to, you know, kill things. And I'm like, well, where's my gear? Where's my stuff? I don't understand. And so my chat was like, you got to go get your stuff. I'm like, what do you mean get my stuff? Like, should I not have it on my character? And it's like, no, it's on your body. I'm like, no, well, yeah, it should be
This
on my
is the
body.
body, no.
Right. It's like, no, like the body in which died back at the, the whatchamacallit. I'm just like, wait a minute. So I got to go get my body and the gear off my body to be able to do it. And it's just like, yes. So but the bad part about it was that I died around like, I think it's like 7 or 8 trash mobs, like the beginning. So there was no safe way of getting it. I died like at least 25, 26 times trying to get my body back. And I also was unfamiliar with the builds in D2, so I tried to build a Boazon as a new player, and apparently that was the worst thing I could have ever done. Starting off playing D2, I had no idea what I was doing. But I met Duriel. I remember getting to Duriel for the first time, and everyone's like, "Oh, Duriel is gonna smash you. Like he's gonna just absolutely wreck you." And he did. He did. The very first time he did. He absolutely did. Because it's like he has like a head start. He's just, you come in, he's already on you. He's like, wait a minute, that's not fair. But yeah, it was pretty neat. It was a pretty neat experience. But yeah, I think more enemies like big lore enemies like that would be pretty cool. Heck, I'd be pretty cool with fighting Zoltan Cole, randomly in a dungeon or something like that. I don't know.
Out of nowhere jumping on you. No, but I want something else. I also want not just the monsters jumping on you. I can't even thinking about something, but I want the game to surprise me. Basically, I'm waiting for Butcher. I'm always ready. I'm ready to run. I'm ready to fight. I know that the Butcher will be there. I don't know, the wall crash on me, something like this. Oh, nice to see you.
Sorry, it was getting a little dark. Sorry about that.
But we'll see. I'm pretty sure they prepared for us a couple of surprises later in the end game.
So let me ask you this though. So we all know that you are the Witch Doctor Queen. Everyone knows, right? How do you feel going into Diablo 4 without a Witch Doctor? As a Witch Doctor player, how do you go about dealing with this?
Easy
Just
peasy.
out of curiosity.
I'm playing a Necromancer. Because Necromancer is a dead witch doctor. Give me a millisecond. I'm ready. Meet and greet. Vasily is ready to be resurrected. I do like the pet gameplay. And Witch Doctor is partially why I like it so much. I like it because of the fantasy of the character mostly, but also because it has a pet gameplay. I love it. I love raising the army of your pets, and your pets are fighting. You're buffing the pets or doing some final moves or something like this. That's why Necromancer for me it's just a perfect class. It is the ultimate choice here, and that's why my favorite character is Necromancer. They nerfed Necromancer now, and I don't think that Necromancer will be the ultimate strongest character in the end game. But it doesn't matter. It's love from the first skeleton.
How do you feel about the Necromancer not having the movement ability? There's been a lot of talk about that, because the Necromancer is slow, right? It does a lot of things well, but it going from point A to point B is a struggle. So how do you feel about that?
Me and my horse, we're gonna do amazing. We're gonna move amazing on the Necromancer. My skeleton horse gonna be my movement ability. No, I know. I don't like it. You're gonna feel yourself kind of slow on Necromancer when you're playing the Necromancer, I believe. Especially, imagine you have a fully geared rogue. All this super fast rogue, and after that you decided to switch, and even you have a fully geared Necromancer, and oops, you immediately feel yourself really slow, really moving really slow. But I'm always thinking about this, we don't know all the legendary powers. You don't know, kinda in the end game, maybe there will be something will drop that will actually drastically affect Necromancer movement speed, and pretty much, and basically maybe there is something that also can change the direction of Necromancer. We will see how it will work. But since I'm not a competitive player myself, not a little bit I like, I am not that much into PvP. I think I will be entering also occasionally, seeing just what's going on there, seeing how it's all happening. That's why I'm not that. I know that Necromancer are not going to be the character for PvP. A lot of people are saying that the skeletons will be super tanky, the skeletons will be shielding you. But since now the skeletons also going to be dying really, really fast. I don't know, Barbarian 1 cry one, this shout, all your skeletons are dead, and you're staying there naked Necromancer and thinking how to run away from here really, really fast, and you can't.
I see it. I'll read and try a little bit. Sorry. Is it a unique that gives +1 to teleport could be a potential? I mean, I don't know even because at that point every class is gonna want it. I mean, it's gonna turn into Enigma again, right? Where you're basically every class gets a free
teleport, yeah.
Movement skill in the game, and you don't really want to run around the world and you see everyone teleporting, right? I mean, it's you kind of want some sort of uniqueness there. With that, there is a question in the chat. You mind if I take it? And what is your opinion on the in-game activities?
End-game activities, yeah.
So,
millisecond. Sorry, we are going there really, really quick. We are going there back. Just one question, since we started talking about the Enigma, but there is now Shaco. They showed Shaco, which is every single character will be chasing for, and everything. Seems to be an absolutely ultimate item now, because +4 to all stats and just over all the stats on this item is absolutely insane.
I'm going for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, this is not Enigma, but this is something also like the item that will rule them all, and everyone will be chasing it.
Yeah, they. I mean, and again, this is kind of the beginning where they're definitely going to add more legendary powers and uniques, down the road. So we're gonna, kind of see some vanilla stuff, I guess you could say, some baseline things. But with the game being a live service, they're definitely going to add more things. Because I mean, they kind of have to know that Shaco's going to be best in slot. Like, let's be realistic here. They have to know that. Like, they have to be like, okay, everybody's wearing Shaco. Maybe we should,
do something about this. And
create something that's as competitive with Shaco, right? With that. But we got. So, what is your opinion on the in-game?
Yep. Going back, yeah.
Okay, so we got so I think the way that they did the in-game stuff is pretty smart, and I say that because, like for instance, when they say play your way, or your choice, to be able to play the way that you would like to play, options, you technically, and I say technically, so I don't mean efficiently, but technically, you could literally not do a single in-game content if you don't want to, and still gear up and get all the stuff you want to get. It's possible. Like, it's absolutely possible to get whatever you want without doing a nightmare dungeon. Well, except for Paragon boards, stuff like that. But in terms of your gear is concerned, itemization, you don't have to ever touch the nightmare dungeon if you don't want to. You don't have to touch world boss if you don't want to. You don't have to touch hell tide if you don't want to. But then you're at the mercy of whatever drops in terms of rolls is concerned, right? So it'll take you longer, obviously, to min-max your character that way. But what the in-game stuff does do, like the in-game activities, is that you are farming for specific things that help you tailor your gear. So for instance, Helltide, you're farming Helltide, you get pretty cool rewards for doing so, as mentioned, via the video that you all have probably seen so far. But there's also a collectible, a material called Theme Rose, where you can use that to, change something on your gear, basically re-roll a stat in your gear.
And
so
items, yeah.
That, right. So that's an important thing if you want to min-max. You don't have to do that per se, but if you're trying to min-max, that's the activity. Or if you want to min-max and you're looking to change roles, that's the activity you do, right? Whereas let's say World Boss is an in-game activity, right? Well, you do the World Boss, you get rewards, sure, but there's also Shadow Prism. You get that particular item, and then now you can add sockets to your gear, right? So if your gear doesn't have sockets, you can add sockets to your gear. Do you have to do it? No, because your gear could technically already roll with the sockets you want, technically, right? So, but you can do these things, these different activities to really start to custom tailor your character. It's not a must. You don't have to do them, but they do provide a sense of, well, today, I farmed all this gear yesterday, or I got these things, and really, I need to really do some rerolls. I think Helltide is going to be the choice for me today, for what I'm going to do. And then maybe the next day is like, I really want to work on my glyphs. So Nightmare Dungeons is kind of what I'm going to do. Or, there's the in-game activities are different enough and provides you an incentive to be able to min-max your character, but none of them are necessary. Unless of course you're trying to min-max, but you can literally play without it and do most of the things you really want to do. So I think with the way that they designed the in-game stuff, the in-game activities, I think was a really good thing, because there's always something you may want for the player who wants to take their gear or take their character a little further. It's like, you really want to do this, you really want to customize this, do this, do this activity, etc. So I like that a lot.
Do you think that something is missing in the end game activities? Something should be. Is it enough for you, or like you want something more stuff to do?
It's hard to say, because, and I know this may not be a popular opinion, but I think sometimes there can be too much to do. I mean, I do think there is a such thing as too much to do, or too much, because then a player might feel like they're missing out on different things, just because, well, I didn't know that this was even available because there was 15 other things that I could have done. But as let's say you're a casual player, you don't know what you should be doing, right? So I feel like having too much to do is can be a bad thing too, as just like too little to do, like. And Diablo 3, I don't feel like there's not nearly enough to do. But in terms of anything missing, honestly, just I guess a way to see your progress in some way. I know there's like the end game boss that you fight or whatnot. And Nightmare Dungeons is one thing too, but let's be realistic. People like to be competitive, so I think leaderboards is one of those things. So I don't think an in-game activity is missing, but more so a way to show your achievements per se, to see what you've accomplished and what you've done versus other people who might have done the same thing. They did mention that they want to do that in seasons though, so I think we will see leaderboards and achievements and other things like that in seasonal content, but we won't see that when the game first releases. So I think the blasters will kind of feel like there's not much to do once they've, blasted all the way to end game and, got to level 100 and then min-max, and it's like, okay, but what now, right? There is Nightmare Dungeons, but yeah.
I don't know. Have you seen that they said that reaching level 100 will take casual player around 150 hours? This is a lot. This kind of reminds the speed of Diablo 2. Hopefully not as drastic as Diablo 2, but yeah, that's going to be really, really probably tough to reach level 100. And not everyone should do it.
I do want to put an asterisk on that though, because you also have to understand, when they say the casual player will take 150 hours, you also have to kind of take into consideration that the casual player will also spend more time looking at their gear. Looking at what's good and what's bad. They're going to spend more time, kind of like they'll see the Paragon board and be like, holy crap, there's so many different, options, right? So they're more prone to kind of like take more time to really look at that and, say, +5, do I really want the +5 dex? Do I really want the +5 intel? Maybe if I go this route, and of course, blasters would do the same thing, but we're going to have that already mapped out, I guess, as early as possible, like, when we can, right? We're going to just throw things in there and go. How many hours would you give Max Roll, boys?
How many hours you are aiming to reach level 100?
But just like, I think that number is a bit low for what I think like a casual will actually reach there, because again, there's so much to go through, there's so much to learn, there's so much, it's not just grinding to level 100. There's a lot of stopping and socializing and transmogging, obviously, come on, let's be real. Transmogging is an important thing, So, so I think,
Chat is saying 80 hours for max roll, people. 80 hours is still a lot. Come on, it's still a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it is kind of a lot. But even when you do hit max level, though, even when you do hit 100, the thing to think about here, and I think I got this on my stream the other day, you will still be doing, I mean, you won't have all the uniques and the stats you want, even when you hit level 100. Like, I doubt you're going to sit there and have everything you want the moment you hit 100. So there's still things to do. There's still things to customize on your character and whatnot to really min-max your character to how you want. Like, you're not going to be done with your character when you hit level 100. All that happens is that you level to 100 because you killed enough stuff to get XP to get to 100, right? But it doesn't mean that you will have everything you want on your character dialed in when you reach 100. So there's still more things to do if you're that min-maxer, right? That is trying to, dang, I'm still missing this piece, or I'm still missing these couple of stats, and I just can't get them, right? It's going to be hard, especially with the supposedly the drop rates of uniques are going to be pretty like really, really rare. So getting one to drop and then getting one to drop the way you want it, and then it's gonna be a grind. But getting to 100 though is just part of the game, right? It's not over. You hit 100, it's not over. There's still quite a bit of things to do for your character.
There are other characters, which is brand new, fresh, wonderful, will be cool to explore. Do you think in the next one, Paladin, which the next character gonna be? Paladin, Crusader, what they're adding?
So there's been a lot of talks about a holy class. So I don't even know. I can't even. I have no guesses of what the next class character would be, but I would assume some sort of holy class and some sort, because we don't. Well, for one, we don't have one, and according to how the lore is seeming to shape up in D4, there seems to be a kind of a push towards one, towards someone important that's gonna be needed in terms of the light, I guess you could say. So some sort of holy light class of some sort, or even like a dark holy class. I don't know.
Dark battle.
But I do think that it's the holy, like a holy class is going to be probably the next thing. We just don't know what. We don't know if it's going to be a monk or a paladin or a crusader or some brand new holy class design of some sort.
Who would you like to see? You personally. Who would you like to see as the 6th character? I want to see Witch Doctor. I don't care about your holy class.
That's fair.
But who would you like to see? Chat is saying Blood Mage.
Probably. I mean, I would like to see a paladin actually. Like, so if there's going to be a holy class next, I would say paladin. I think a paladin would be pretty cool, considering the archetypes that we have right now. I would like to say monk, but I think there'll be some overlap between rogue, assassin, rogue, and monk. So I don't really see that happening. But yeah,
that would be cool.
But I can understand you wanting Witch Doctor next, though. I can. I'd feel that way if that was my class too, right?
I understand that this holy warrior, it's kind of actually feeling the archetype that we are missing, the shield bearer. We need someone who will be carrying the shields, who will have the shield class, and the paladin is actually, who has a really, really strong fantasy around paladin. A lot of people want to have a paladin. So I also believe that the next one will be in whatever way, but it will be a holy class of some kind. They can call it somehow differently, and we'll see how it will look, but yeah, most likely it will be a holy class. But after that, 7th class, and here kinda maybe not Witch Doctor, but a shaman, something in this direction. Why not? They also could go. And I'm hoping, so my hopes and dreams that the 7th class will be something around Witch Doctor theme. Some rework, something made out of it, but something there.
Yeah, I think, I mean, some of the coolest abilities, some of the coolest like visual abilities in Diablo 3, in my opinion, came from the Witch Doctor. Like just
Yes,
the way it looks,
yes,
the way, like
yes. I
just the
like this
way
guy.
it looks so cool. Like most of the skills look so cool. So like, I wonder what they would do, because I mean, of course, there's a lot of, individuals that will say, there is some overlap with Necromancer and Witch Doctor, but I do think there's definitely enough with Witch Doctor to give it its own feel, its own like vibe, its own thing, right? But yeah. But in terms of a seventh class, though, shamans would I think be pretty cool. I actually use shamans a lot in
Mm-hmm.
Warcraft 3: The Frozen Throne, so that's where my mind goes to, like the whole spellcaster, um, uh, or elemental spellcaster type ordeal. Um, but yeah, I can see that. I do think that like they have a lot they can really do in terms of to keep the hype up for the game for long term. They're especially just introducing like even brand new classes, like classes that we wouldn't have expected, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be anything repeat from D2 or whatnot, but something
I
brand
can't.
new,
I'm
like
not
a
agree
brand
with
new.
this one. You know why? I
Yeah.
am. The thing is, because I'm the lore person and I know all of this Diablo lore, all the classes right now that we have, they have such a history behind. They have gigantic this archetype lore
Okay.
around them, and that's why it's kind of hard to bring someone completely new, because when you don't have it behind you, doesn't mean that this will not happen, and a lot of people would be really really happy that if that would be someone absolutely brand new. But well, I am the one who I want which doctor. I am the one who wants. Then they need to bring some insane cinematic, and they will, and some story behind this class, something around this class, because Diablo is a lot about the law, and Diablo has this whole 25 years of history behind. That's why it's so no, difficult. In my personal opinion, it's just really, really difficult with a brand new class. And we have the question from chat, and which is actually also connected with the question that I wanted to ask, which we can finish with this talk with this question. Joseph is asking, okay, question: what is the one thing that you think that will make us stay and play Diablo 4 and say, or like say, okay, it's boring and quit after no, not 5 minutes, but after some point? How do you think? And my question, I had the different question a little bit structured. That do you have any fears about Diablo 4 right now? Any concerns? Because, for example, for me, I'm really, really afraid. Only one thing is concerning for me: the hype around the game. The ginormous hype around the game. And
I agree.
since I saw this with Diablo Immortal, I saw how this hype just in a millisecond, that was the reason for this, but anyway, the hype in a millisecond turned into gigantic hate wave. And it also backed on content creators, is backed on it was all over the gaming community. It was absolutely everywhere. And now I am afraid. I want this game to be successful. I want it to be good. Everything what we see seems really, really nice so far and really promising, but I am afraid of this boom, and we are again somewhere.
I agree. I absolutely agree with you. I'm usually pretty upfront with even my audience too as well. And it's like the thing is that I've always say that Diablo 4 is a good base game. It's a good foundational game. And what I mean by that is obviously there are issues. There are issues, there are things that we look at and it's like, man, this could be a little bit better and things. But the things that we do talk about in terms that can be better are not game breaking things. These are just more so icing on the cake stuff, more often than not. But
Exactly.
But the game has a good foundation, and so and I think that's important for people to understand and realize, because both Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 historically, when they first came out, were absolute disasters. Like they had horrible launches, right? So that won't be the case for Diablo 4, but I do 100% agree with you on the hype, where people may feel like, oh, this is gonna be the best game ever. It's gonna raise my credit score. I'm gonna, do this and that with this. It's gonna be the great, and it's not gonna be that. Like Diablo 4 doesn't really reinvent the wheel. It just does quite a few things that we like in action RPGs well. Like it does it pretty good. Like that's where it's at. So it's good, right? But it's not going to be the next game of all time, which is where the hype is. And that's kind of my concerns too as well. Where when people play, it's like, oh man, I thought this was going to be this and that. I'm like, but it's a good game. It's like, yeah, but I was expecting like, well, that's kind of the issue, right? But yeah, it's going to be a good game. But there is a lot of overhype, like a lot of hype, a ton of hype. And realistically speaking, let's be honest. No game can really meet the hype of social media, like the massive hype of social media. Like no game is going to ever reach that perfection of expectations of that kind of hype. So D4 is not going to hit that expectation of that huge hype. It's just not going to do that. Will it be a bad game? No, which is the difference, right? It won't be a bad game. It'll be a good game, but it's not going to it's not going to reach the expectation of the hype that's already out there. And so I always tell people like, temper your expectations because, just understand you're going to play it. It's going to be fun. Just don't think it's going to be life-changing by any means, but you're going to have a good time, playing Diablo 4. And I think to answer Joseph's question, as you mentioned, the biggest thing for any action RPG now, I think, with any sort of repetitive, loop gameplay, that's for anything, or any looter, pretty much, is seasons, right? I think seasons is going to, make or break how Diablo 4 moves forward. So, like, depending on how they do their season theme, like, what's the draw? Is it just this one perk that I can't stand and like, okay, well, screw that season. I'm not going to play for that entire, or is it multiple different things? How big is the season itself? How long is the season going to last? I think seasons is going to make or break the longevity of Diablo 4. But I think as a base game, I think it's good enough to spend at least 100 to 200, maybe even 300 hours in the base game itself, and still get your money's worth, even if you're not interested in seasons or not. But I think the long term seasons will keep us involved and interested for times to come, for sure.
I'm really, really excited about the seasons, and I'm always constantly saying that we don't know anything about the seasons. We don't know the theme. We don't know, like Blizzard promised, the big thing, the big seasons. But it's so insane what will be the first season, what will be the first seasonal theme, how it will be, and when it will be. No, supposedly like in a couple of weeks after the start, but no, yeah, intriguing. Really, really intriguing.
I do want to say this one thing though, so therefore people aren't thinking I'm just being completely positive about the game. What in the world? I don't understand. Like, so here's the thing I don't understand. This is a open world action RPG where we're more social now than ever. Why does the clan support and the social interactions suck so bad right now?
Yes, I mean, thank you so much. Clip this. Record. Clip this. Send it.
It's so bad. It's going backwards from what in D3 it was done better. In D2 it was done better. I don't understand how a game that we're supposed to be more social in with the open world environment can really drop the ball on this part of the aspect. And like anytime that question has been asked, you can tell the response from the devs are very just like vague. It's like, oh, stuff will be there, there is clan stuff, but they don't ever say anything about it. And like maybe that's down the road. Maybe down the road they're gonna look at that because they're trying to crunch the game out and get it out and as fast as possible. So understandably so, but man, like I think they're underestimating how important that is for the social experience for the game, especially for those who, I mean, yeah, it took us, a little while to even figure out how to invite people into a party. Like, why should that be a difficult thing to try to find out in the 2023 game, right? Like that's awful. And I wish they would really put more emphasis on, reasons for wanting to be in the clan or reasons to, I don't understand that. I just do not. I don't get it.
Have my hopes that this will be fixed to some extent, I still kind of, I want to believe that even on release that we will see there's some changes. If not on release, then like with the seasons coming, there will be some changes because it is clan interaction is really really weird, and I'm kind of not even clan interactions that's driving me nuts. Just the lack of the reasoning why you need to be in a clan. There is not that much that would bring you, that would make you want to play in this game with someone else. I mean, it is great. This is kind of giving you. There is a lot of people who don't want to play with other people. It's okay. I also don't want to play with other people. but but if it's MMO, it's supposed to somehow go in the other direction. It's supposed to invite people to the community, to the different communities, and make people kind of bound. When the people will be like in World of Warcraft, there are people marrying in World of Warcraft. We should also have like the Diablo marrying, Diablo weddings. But I understand that they want to go really really careful with this. I truly believe that there will be the changes in the future, but so far they want to go really careful with this because, Diablo is going from RPG, from a classic RPG. Here we are going into the big step we're doing into MMO, and probably they don't want to like immediately, drop on you all the clan activities and everything. No, I don't know. We'll see.
Sure, I can understand that, but I mean, at least have the features of the previous games, though, which were obviously action RPGs, right?
This thing, I think that this will be fixed. No, like I understand it as this will be fixed.
Hopefully, yeah. I think people were asking me too. It's like, are you gonna make your clan from D3 to D4? And like I forgot, like I was in beta, I forgot about clans. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't make one. Because it's you don't there's no incentive, there's no reason, there's no nothing is pointing me towards that or anything. It's like, oh yeah, we can make clans, can't we? And it's like that shouldn't be an afterthought. Like that shouldn't be one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, I can do that, But and again, I'm more of a solo player too, so I'll be doing a lot of solo content stuff too. But I do understand that a lot of people like to be social, which is and so like I do think that more social or ways to be able to interact with people should be a thing in a game like this. But you're right though, like you definitely don't want to turn into like MMO in the sense of like well, you have to be in a clan to do this activity, because then you're gonna really piss off
a lot of people,
including myself. Myself, right? It's yeah.
No forced party.
So yeah, but I mean, it is a little lackluster right now. Well, not a little. It's a bit lackluster now, and so I do hope they address that later. But man, I just it's just kind of.
I can feel it. Thank you so much for joining me. Have an amazing day. Big thank you, big shout out to DiEoxidE. Have fun, my dear. That was a pleasure.
Thanks for having me. See y'all later. Y'all have the best of days, chat, and of course I will see y'all around.